Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's message from the truck. I am the Rev'd Paul, and I'm from St. Augustine of Canterbury Anglican Church in Windsor, and welcome to all of our parish family, all of you St. Augie's folks, as well as all of our other friends from other congregations that might be joining us, and to our acquaintances that we haven't quite met yet, those who are still strangers and we haven't met face-to-face. It's good to see you all here this week as I offer you yet another message from the truck as we continue down our journey through this COVID shutdown, this COVID suspension from our buildings. It's great to see you all and great to be able to connect this way as we're able. My, oh my, it has been a warm week here in Windsor as we continue to see record temperatures and up in the mid-30s Celsius in temperatures and humidity on top of that. Hopefully you found a place either in front of a fan or some air conditioning or even the shade under a tree to be able to escape some of this heat. It has been oppressive, to say the least, but hopefully you've been able to find somewhere where you can find some comfort and relief. Last week I had the opportunity to do some camping as Charlotte and I were away, and had an opportunity to take our trailer down the road, and we certainly found some relief in the shade of some trees and sitting and reading books and just watching the world go by, as well as taking an opportunity to go jump in a lake. I let you take that however you prefer to take that, as we spent some time in Lake Ontario and Lake Erie, an opportunity just to cool off and enjoy some of God's creation out there. So hopefully you've been able to find that place of relief for yourself as well. Just a couple of quick announcements for this coming Sunday. First of all, we are going to be Facebook Live. The rectors who are on vacation have returned to work. So those rectors will all be back to work, and we'll be offering Facebook Live worship on Sunday. That's at 10 o'clock on St. Augustine of Canterbury's Facebook page. And you'll find that this email that this came through, you'll find the link to that service on that email, as well as if you just go to our Facebook page, you should be able to find it there. This coming Sunday is also our drive-through food drive Sunday. It should have been last week, but because of the miracle on the 27th, which I've just got to pause for a moment and congratulate everyone who took part in the miracle on the 27th of June. 2 million pounds of food donated to the food bank. An absolutely incredible show of generosity and kindness and support for one another from the city of Windsor. Just an absolutely amazing thing. 28,000 families could eat for a full year from the donations to the food bank. It's just an incredible gift from the city of Windsor and Essex County. Just an amazing amount of generosity and kindness that you've shown to your neighbors. So congratulations and well done on that. We're going to try and do our little part as well this coming Sunday on the 12th in all of the usual places as we do the drive-through food drive, starting at noon at All Saints, and then 1:30 here at St. Augustine and 3 o'clock at St. James. So hopefully you'll be able to drop by and offer some donations. And if you've already made your donation on the 27th to the miracle and you just don't have a whole lot gathered yet, that's okay. We can wait till the next time. But we'll still be here. We'll still make those gathered donations and financial donations to the Unemployed Help Center's food bank. That's about it for announcements at the moment, is just Facebook and the food drive. We've got some stuff growing on in the background, things that we're planning on doing in the coming couple of weeks, but at the moment that's the only things that I'm going to share with you right now. This coming Sunday, the rectors are going to do something a little bit different in the sermon. We've been doing our 4 pages of the sermon where each of us sort of reflects on the different pages, the challenge in the text, the challenge in the world, the grace in the text, the grace in the world. You know that pattern. You've seen it over the course of the last few months. This week we're going to do something a little different. We're going to talk not about the specific 4 pages of the sermon, but we're going to do things a little bit differently. So I encourage you to join us as we take a look at the parable that Jesus shared with us. The parable this week is the parable of the sower, the one who sows in the good ground and the rocky ground and the sandy ground and that kind of thing. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that because it's really something that I'd like you to just check in with us and see what that's all about. But the one thing I do want to talk a little bit about, and I mentioned it in the wording in the email that came in, but I just want to talk a little bit about how this weather out here, this heat and this humidity, is a blessing. Now, I will admit, I will deny forever that I've ever said that heat is a blessing, because you all know my preference is snow, not hot temperatures. However, I've got to say that the heat in Windsor, as oppressive as it can be and as overwhelming as it feels from time to time, it's actually really comforting to feel it happen again. Let me share with you a little bit what I mean. So, when I first moved here to Windsor, which is in the summer of 2012, that particular winter, in February of 2012, I had taken a trip to El Salvador. And I spent about 2 weeks, give or take a couple of days, in El Salvador. And while I was there, was overwhelmed by the amount of heat that we found when we were there. It was oppressive. It was everywhere. There was no escaping it, whether you were in the depths of the jungle and the depths of the rainforest, or whether you were out on a flat plain in the desert areas of El Salvador. It was just hot. And I got used to it. You did what you had to do. There was no air conditioning in El Salvador. We just had to figure out how to get out of the heat where we could. And then I moved to Windsor. Shortly after that, about 3 or 4 months later, I ended up in Windsor. And one day I walked out of the rectory at St. Stephen's, and as I walked out the door, I felt like I'd walked into a wall of heat. It was unbelievable. It took your breath away. That's how hot it was that particular day. And what amazed me was that it was hotter that day than any of the days I remembered when I was in El Salvador. That's the kind of heat that Windsor gets here in this wonderful tip of southwestern Ontario that we call Essex County. Now, that heat, though, has been consistent. Every summer we get these days, these 32, 33, 34 degrees Celsius, plus the humidity makes it feel like 38, makes it feel like 40, like 42. We get those days that happen just regularly. And in the midst of those hot days, what I find is I feel really blessed and reminded about consistency. They happen every summer. The heat comes back every summer. It's always there every summer since I've been here. There have been these hot days, these heat waves, these heat warnings, these reminders of people to get into the air-conditioned buildings where you can to escape the heat. And it's almost comforting to know that summer is here and the routine is back, even though the routine is 40 degrees Celsius, because it reminds me of a constant. And I think when I think about the heat, I think about the constant that is God. Not that God is oppressive, not that God is a hot heat wave or anything like that, but that God can always be counted on. In the same way that the heat can always be counted on here in Windsor, I can always count on God to be there, no matter what I'm struggling with, where I am, if I'm in a good place or if I'm in a challenging place. It doesn't matter. God is there. He's constant, he's consistent, and he's reliable. And I think in the midst of this heat, when I say that the heat is a blessing, it's not that I love sweating as much as I do on a hot summer day. It's that it reminds me that even in the midst of COVID, even in the midst of this separation from one another, even in the midst of this individual experience that we've all had to share, even in the midst of this isolation, there's one thing that hasn't changed. I have to wear a mask when I go into a store. I have to spray my hands with hand sanitizer whenever I walk through a building. I have to make sure I wipe off the doorknobs and such when I come into the church building to make sure there's no trace of me being left behind. These are all things that are new, and they might happen again next year. We don't know. We don't know what the future will bring. But next year it's going to be hot again. And there will be days that the heat wave rolls in and it's 30, 32, 34 degrees. But more importantly, the consistency of God will always be there. So, this week when you're cursing the heat a little bit, and we all know we're doing it, it's okay, we do absolution on Sunday about 10 after 10, so we can get you covered. But when we're in the midst of all of that, be thankful that this heat that seems to come back year after year and consistently can be a reminder for us that God is consistently there. Never goes away, can always be counted on, can always be expected. God is present. So, I'm going to leave that with you for now. There may be some conversation around that on Sunday if you join in and see what happens when we gather together with the rectors of the other churches that get together and offer worship on Sunday mornings. Hopefully we'll see you Sunday afternoon as we share in the food drive at the different locations. And for right now, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. Blessings to all of you and your families and those that you love. We'll see you on Sunday. Have a great day. Bye for now.